Hi everyone, I'm Feminista Jones. Welcome back. If you're returning, if this is your first video of mine that you're seeing, welcome. I hope you enjoy it. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about this fear of the independent woman and how there seems to be a lot of discourse speaking against women who claim to be independent, and why I feel that women should learn to be independent despite that. So we want to kind of look at history a little bit and think about this idea of marriage, right, and property, and how women were raised in the home and their fathers would like sell them to other men, you know, for property issues, trying to bring families together to stop wars, to unite assets and things like that. And women's value was placed on their virginity and, you know, just all kinds of things other than this idea of love, right? Because marrying for love is a rather modern concept. I think we all know that by now. So women went from being basically their father's property to barter to being their husband's property, right, to produce children. So that was their responsibility. And you fast forward, and over time, you know, things began to change and evolve, and marriages were starting to look at them differently, and different choices were made, and you know, and fast forward to this time now where you have more women are waiting to get married, for example. And again, I have to clarify these things. I'm speaking right now primarily about women who are attracted to and have sex with men and are interested in relationships with men. I don't mean to leave out anybody, but just in this particular historical context, that's what I'm talking about. But I think that what I'm going to say will apply to all types of women, right? So here we are, and we live in a society right now where there's so much going on in terms of like economic issues, employment issues, education issues, financial, there's war, there's all kinds of things going on. And women have, for the past few decades, been kind of stepping out of that traditional role that existed for literally thousands of years, and they have been kind of taking things on for themselves, which, you know, is an amazing thing. I think that when women are free, everyone is free. I think when women contribute to society as a whole benefits. But I think there's also been that pushback, and I think it's the same kind of pushback that has come against feminism itself. Right, so and you think of a manifestation of that is how some men will say, you know, oh, I'm not holding a door for you. You're a liberated woman. You could hold it yourself. And it's this jump from I want to be treated equally to I resent you for wanting to be treated equally. Therefore, you can do everything by your damn self. And I don't know how that got to that place, but it's definitely a pushback against this liberation of women. So I think that what we see now, we see another manifestation of that, and it's this down talking of the so-called independent woman. And I'm on Twitter a lot, and that's how you guys all know me. And recently, you know, there was a discussion about how independent equals lonely, right? I'm trying so hard not to get pissed off at some of the things I see. But, you know, every now and then something will come across, and then I'll see women co-signing it, and I really just want to choke the shit out of you. But, okay, so being independent is not not equated to being lonely. Being independent means that you are able to sustain life on your own. Bam. It really doesn't get much harder, like much more complicated than that. You are able to sustain your life on your own. Okay, and I think that that is an essential quality that everybody, not just men and women, need to have. But I'm speaking to women because my name is Feminista Jones, and this is what this is about. So you live in your parents' house, okay? Sometimes it's a single parent, sometimes it's both parents, whatever the situation is. You live at home with whomever's at home. And you can go a few different ways. Some women go off to college when they're around 18, 19. Others stay home and go to college. Some don't go to college at all. They choose to work. Whatever the situation is, you're living at home. You're relying upon your parents' support on a daily basis. You might pay some rent, but you're not paying the whole thing. You might contribute a little bit to the food, but you're not buying everything. You might put something on the light bill. You might put something in the gas tank, but you're not taking full responsibility for everything. And then you are out there dating, and you're looking for a partner and somebody you want to build with, And then what a lot of women end up doing is they end up jumping right into that. So it's not much different from what was happening in history when women were being sold from their fathers to their husbands. They were just jumping from one to the other, never really fully experiencing this being on your own, like, and living independently of the support of your parents. And I think that is so important, especially in this day and age. Excuse me, I put on my Sunday praise wig and I'm sweating because I live in the Bronx. And so you have to forgive me for that. But anyway, so, and I'm not editing that. I never edit my videos. But anyway, so you are living at home with your parents and you don't know what it's like to get paid on Friday and have it be Wednesday, and you're looking in your fridge, ain't nothing there. You're looking through all your pockets and you're looking for change in the couch and all of that. You don't know that life. And let me tell you, that builds character. I'm not saying everybody's going to be broke when they're independent, but there's something about relying on yourself and what you have that builds character, and it builds a strength that helps you, that gives you a different perspective just on life. And then also with looking for a partner, you start to experience a life that you like, and you're crafting your own world and your own environment, and you're like, well, this is what I've come to like. Before I invite somebody into this, I need to be a little more discerning when I'm looking at some people, and will they fit into this life, and how much of this am I willing to compromise? So when you're at home and you live with your parents, you don't really know much about that, right? You're still living under their rules. You're still doing what they say. You have not experienced what it's like to create your own rules, to create your own life, right? I think that's so important. When you're living on your own, and this is really a lot of this is, I mean, I'm talking about being independent, but I'm really speaking a lot about this whole idea of living on your own and taking care of yourself. When you live on your own, there's just a freedom that comes with your own space and being able to navigate that space in the way that you want. And I think that even though that's like a small little kind of physical thing, it represents so much for who you are as a person. Just the act of coming in your home, unlocking the door, putting the keys down on the table, taking off your clothes, being free, walking around, looking at your apartment arranged, or your house arranged the way that you want it to be. It's decorated the way that you want. You're looking at images, you're sitting on furniture, you're looking at colors, you're smelling scents, all of these things that define you and make you happy. That is such a microcosm for how you should be working on creating your own life as you discover your identity. So I think that it's important that we do that. And unfortunately, a lot of women don't get the opportunity to do that, and then they sometimes get into relationships where they're not really prepared to handle being in the relationship because they haven't had the opportunity to figure out who they are. And if you don't know who you are, you're not really ready to contribute you to a relationship. So that's just, something that I want people to think about. So when you hear somebody talking about, being independent is being lonely, I mean, I think that that's, of course, it's a ridiculous notion, and I think that it's one it's a backlash, quite frankly. We look everywhere we read, we're reading about women, especially black women, are just doing better than men in a lot of ways. Of course, we still face, institutional oppression, but women are on the move. And we're going to college and graduating college at, faster rates, and our numbers are bigger. We're making more income. We're getting better jobs. And I think that there is some resentment among some men about that. And there's some men who, for whatever reasons, whether it's institutional racism, whatever it is, whether it's their own lack of drive and ambition, whether they didn't get enough education, whatever, they're unable to get work, or they're unable to get the work that satisfies them. They're unable to make certain amounts of money. They're unable to do these things that society dictates is what a man should do. And then when he sees women that are doing these things that a man should do, and he's unable to do it, that resentment is going to come through. Okay, I'm not saying this is every time, but this is what happens a lot of the time. And so you get that pushback. So rather than celebrate the quote-unquote independent woman who is making these moves and making these things happen, he's going to down talk her, and he's going to make her feel bad for being all the things that he cannot be, or he is unable to be, or he has not become yet. And I want women to be I want you to be on notice about that, and I want you to pay attention to that, because that's not healthy, and that's not the kind of guy that you want to be with. And you don't have to prove anything to him, because his lonely ass is sitting on his mama's couch waiting for her to let him know when dinner's ready. So you chilling. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to answer to anybody. You're not responsible for him in any regard. I want to speak to the men a little bit. Like, you don't have to fear a so-called independent woman. What is wrong with a woman who has gone and gotten an education? She has figured out what she wants to do as a career. She has pursued that. She has established herself in it. She continues to build herself and wants to ascend higher. She wants to make more connections. She wants to have a greater impact on the world. She wants to earn a good amount of money. She's interested in having children, but she wants to make sure that the life that she establishes and prepares for them is one that, they'll have a good life. She thinks for herself. She can form, articulate thoughts, and she can speak about a variety of things, from hip-hop music to world affairs to water shortages in Africa. I mean, she can do all of those things. She can go outside in the club and she can shake her ass, and she can go to your family reunion and she can show deference to your favorite aunt. I mean, this is the kind of woman that you would think most men, or heterosexual men at least, would be interested in having, and yet we still see this resentful pushback against those kinds of women. And I think the primary reason for, oh my God, I am working up a black sweat. Okay, anyway, I think the pushback from that, I think one of the reasons that is because there's this assumption that if a woman is independent, then she doesn't need a man, right? So again, we go back to this notion that society says that men are supposed to provide. They're supposed to work. They're supposed to pay for things. They're supposed to take care of their family. And they focus so much on the material and the financial possessions, right? And so when a woman has all of that and she's paying her rent or her mortgage, she's got her own car, pays her car note, she goes shopping, she doesn't ask anybody for anything, she becomes somebody he sees, well, she doesn't need me, so why am I there? And then that goes into, if a woman doesn't need me, she probably will leave me. And then part of that, even if we want to go a little bit further, is I don't think I'm worth much to this woman. What am I contributing to her life? Why would she want me? So we go from independent equals lonely and fuck these independent women to I'm not good enough. And we have to, as men and women, we have to kind of look at that connection there. And so I would implore the women, because some of us do come off with that whole, like, I don't need a man for shit and I can do all my own. Okay, like, yeah, you got all that, but who is taking care of your emotional needs, right? Who is loving you when you're sad? When you come home from the board meeting and they rejected your proposal, who's there to listen and talk to you and provide you with that hug and that, baby, it's going to be okay? So as women, we need to realize and recognize that there are needs that we can handle and we can take care of, but then there's some needs that a partner, probably would fulfill better. And we have to remain open to that and be careful to not create those walls that make people feel like we don't need them for shit, right? But then at the same time, men, don't assume that just because a woman is all of these things, that she does not need you, that she will not respect you as a man, that she won't show appreciation for what she considers your role is as a man in her house, in the relationship, and things like that. She probably will. And I speak as a woman who is like that. Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't feel resentful towards women who are just trying to do everything that they were raised to think is the right thing to do with their lives and make it. Okay? Focus on the women, get to know them. Talk to these women. When you see them, I can't, if I had $1 for every kind of networking and social event I go to where I see nothing but beautiful, brilliant, hardworking, successful women who are all single, I would be rich. And I think that when you consider, there was some study, I talked about this on Twitter, where it said that men are more likely to choose women they feel don't have a lot of options. Think about that. So that can be deemed by a woman's looks, by her career position, by her education, things like that. It seems like the more that a woman has going for her, the more men are likely to think that she's got all these extra options and she's going to leave him at some time, or she's going to cheat, or she's, whatever situation is. Don't do that. Don't think about that. Yes, I'm still wiping my sweat. Don't think about that. Just really kind of focus on the fact that we all have vulnerabilities. We all have emotional needs. We all have things that we seek in partners that we cannot fulfill ourselves. And I think that that's part of what makes us wonderful as women, that we can be all these things. But I'm just getting a little bothered by this increased resentment and pushback against independent women. And I look at the recession, I look at the economy, I see how those things are, affecting it. But it's got to stop. It's got to stop, because when you think about the people you want raising your kids, the women that you want raising your kids, influencing your daughters, being role models, who do you want? You want the ambitious woman. You want the woman with a strong mind. You want the woman that can think through different situations and function well in various parts of society. You want all of that. That's the woman that's going to hold you down at home. That's the woman that's going to be there for you and be able to actually help you out when things are going, tough. You don't want the dumb broad who, is only good to be a nut receptacle. That's just not what life is about, right? So, women, don't fear being that independent woman. Don't give in to this nonsense that independent women are unappealing and men don't want them. They do. It's just hard for them to admit sometimes that that's what they want when they haven't reached a certain place in their life where they think that they should be. That's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to say. You can find me at feministajones.com. I am on Facebook, Feminista Jones. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel. Everywhere you go, Feminista Jones, that's going to be me. Thank you for checking out my video. I would love your commentary. I'd like you to weigh in. You can follow me on Twitter again at Feminista Jones. Let's talk. Let's chat it up. And let's work on accepting women and what we're trying to do to help the greater good of society. I think that's all any of us are really trying to do. We're trying to take care of ourselves and focus on that. Okay. So thanks, guys. Bye.